two things on our agenda that require, or three things on our agenda today that require our attention. The first is the update from SLR. Welcome, Paul. You want to just jump in?
I'd be more than happy to. Thank you guys for having me. As always. Yeah, just as you know, I've kind of touched base with Tony here and there. Given this part of the project, we obviously went through the conceptual phase or the lots of application phase previously. We got the topographic survey done. We walked the site with the group, went over the improvements. Now that we've gotten final approval from the state, town got the funding, which is amazing. Huge step in the right direction. And the funding with the Cadillac that we all wanted, the granite curving, the pedestrian lighting, really the works. So that's really, really positive. From that, we developed a scope amendment with the town to get into the design phase, preliminary design, semi-final design, final design, and construction documents. As part of this contract amendment, one thing we had to complete was the corridor land use subsurface investigation. Reason being, and I went over this briefly on the site walk, is that because of the usages on the streets, whether that's auto body shop, cleaners, those require us to see if there's any contaminated soil beneath the roadways, the areas that we are impacting as part of the construction. So we are in the midst, unfortunately, the weather hasn't cooperated so greatly with us. We were actually scheduled to do the drilling, I believe it was last week or the week prior, then rescheduled for this week due to the sub-zero temperatures. As of now, the drilling for that, and it's very similar to what we did for the subsurface investigation. Basically, they go out there and do, cores of the existing pavement, get samples of the soil beneath, and then they run tests on that soil to see if there are contaminated material in there. Right now, we're scheduled for the 28th and 29th. Typically, they don't do much drilling if it's below 30 degrees, so that's kind of the standstill here. So as of now, the date is the January 28th. So if you do see people out there, cops, flaggers, a driller, that's what they're doing. And from that investigation, we'll see if there's any high level or low level contaminants. Based on what we find, basically we have to instruct the contractor to dispose of that material in a certain manner. If we find there are no contaminants, they treat it as if it's just regular soil. If they find there are, it's all based on the level of VOCs, which is the volatile organic compounds. Based on that, they are instructed, if it's high level or low level, they're instructed to dispose of that material in certain manners. There are just a handful of facilities, I believe, in New England that accept that material. So the contractor will have to choose which facility he goes to dispose of that material. A lot of times we will allow for the contractor to, remove that material, stockpile it alongside, say, storm drainage trench or something like that, and immediately reuse it in the same trench it came out of. Most of the time it's okay if it goes right back down into the earth where it was. There is no way we allow that to get like relocated and used as something else, say such as road base or something of that nature. So that's where we are with that phase right now. We are also in the midst of doing our drainage analysis, and just, for the purposes of this meeting, just to give you kind of a big picture. That's why I'm actually on two different meetings here. I wanted to just share with you quickly. So you're seeing what we're seeing. Do you guys see that image on the screen?
Yep.
Yep.
So this is in kind of going back to the meeting I was at town hall a few months back before the contract was approved. This was when the town decided to move forward with the full drainage analysis. Reason being is there are some business owners within the project limits that have complained about drainage issues before, I believe specifically on Amity Road. So one thing the town wanted to do was confirm that the existing storm pipes within our project limits are adequately sized for the water they're receiving. And if they're not, I think this was a very, good decision. I know there were some previous storm reports done by the state, I believe, some years ago. Oh, and not the state. It was the development at the corner of Bradley. That's the 55 and older community there. I believe they had to do a storm drainage analysis to be able to size their detention basin and so on and so forth. So as part of this project, the town asked us to look at the whole encompassing area to make sure the pipes within the road are adequately sized to handle the drainage. So as part of this, what you're seeing here, just to kind of show you the level of effort involved, we've begun getting into this, and you'll see by the colored map, essentially this, whatever is colored here, the different colors, these are different watershed areas. So you'll see there's quite a bit of watershed that contributes to the outlet that runs through this project, like the larger outlet pipes that then outlet into the river. So essentially what you're seeing is we have to analyze all of these watersheds that contribute to the storm drainage system within our project limits to verify that the existing pipes are sized adequately. If we find that they are undersized, we are going to propose upsizing as part of this project. If we find that they are adequate, then one thing we could do, and we've talked to the state about this, is giving us some assistance on cleaning out the existing drainage system, especially on the state roads. And surprisingly, the state was actually pretty receptive to that request. And we do have, I know Tony's been part of these emails too. We do have some concurrence that they are going to try to help clean those drainage systems in the state road, which is a huge bonus because a lot of times they would put that right back on the town.
Paul, I've got a quick question for you.
Of course.
If we have to expand the size of the drainage system, is there enough money in the grant funds to do that as well as all the other aspects that we were aiming for?
Yeah, so typically the LOTSIP amount, what we requested and they granted, it includes, they typically give us like a 10% buffer on that.
Okay.
So we have, give or take, 10% to go above that amount or under. It's typically never under. So, but the other thing is if we're not going to back off of any of the improvements to make these drainage changes. So like if we have to go back in front of SCROG to request additional funds, then that's something that we can do. And we've done it several times in the past to request additional money to take care of these other improvements. Now, listen, here's the thing, which is really good. You guys, we're making improvements. The town is going through all this to make improvements on a state road.
Right.
Much of this system is owned by the state. So
Right.
I don't see much pushback from the state if we say, hey, can we have some additional money to go increase pipe X, Y, and Z?
Okay.
Essentially, we're doing it for you.
So experience tells me, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, that
Mhm.
the state sees an opportunity. Oh, they've already opened up our road that we're responsible for. They've already made this mechanism available to us, if you will. So we're just going to jump on it and partner with the town on getting done what we can get done if this is what's been exposed. Am I reading that right?
For sure. I mean, you know, it's state funding, so it's like,
Right.
you know, their
They're
mentality is
taking
like,
advantage of it. Right.
yeah, if they're paying for the design, they're going through all this exercise, then yes, they should be willing to play ball with us, which is why I was somewhat surprised when they offered to clean their drainage system, which I've really, quite honestly, never seen before. But my guess is they're probably seeing all the effort that you guys are putting into this and trying to help as much as they can. And, you know, we expected them to do some type of drainage analysis for the Route 15 exit entrance ramps, that proposed project, but of course they came back with they didn't have anything. So that was kind of why the town decided to take this extra step to do this drainage analysis themselves.
I have one other question. If,
Sure.
if next year or the year after, this task force or some other group applies to actually get the crosswalk and the signalization in, which
Mhm.
was item number one when we started with all this.
But
We
that's the
don't,
one at Bradley.
Yes.
Yeah,
right, right. We don't have to go through the drainage piece is already done. That doesn't have to be redone for that purpose, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And you know, they told us originally that they recommended when we went through the signal analysis, DOT recommended that we just put in the handholds and the conduit under this project. And that was under the first round of comments for the application, which was fine with us. Really, nothing that we analyzed, like the traffic data, the accident history, nothing warranted a signal at that Bradley intersection. That's why they said, hey, put the handholds and conduit in for future signal potential. Then they came back, second round of comments saying that they did not want us to put the handhold and conduit in at all. And if the signal is ever warranted in the future, then basically we would deal with it at that time. But they didn't see anything in the data that said it would warrant a signal anytime soon. So they asked us to remove that from the application.
Okay.
That was the final outcome of that.
Okay,
Right.
that's disappointing to me because we worked pretty hard in trying to get data to show that there's been significant accidents there and significant potential
Mm.
accidents there. So I mean, well, what are we going to do? We can't fight the state.
Yeah, you know, we pushed for it. I think the one benefit of what we are doing, we are still pushing for that left-hand turn lane.
Mhm.
That's something that we certainly want to introduce.
Mhm.
It just won't have a signal tied to it. So the hope there is to reduce some of the queuing, improve the safety, so on and so forth. It just won't have the signal tied to it. So
Mhm.
we're gonna do whatever we can to improve that intersection. Like you said, Chris, it's like you could push so much, but it's their road. They're gonna have final say, and unfortunately, um, no, who knows? You know, and maybe it could be reanalyzed in 5, 10 years, and
Yeah,
it will warrant it.
That'll
it
be,
would have been
that'll
great.
be the 2040 task force.
That's right. But it would have been great if they had allowed us to put the infrastructure underground in place so that in the future, if we wanted to do it, all that work is done. We don't have to tear the whole intersection up again. But again,
Yeah, I don't understand that part of it. For me, conduit, few handholds isn't the end of the world. My take is that just the justification was just, you know, so far off that they're basically like, we don't want to entertain maintaining empty conduit and handholds if we don't have to. And that's how DOT works. They're in their simplest form.
okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
At
of
this
course,
point,
of
we
course.
talked last early in the fall about the process as you're going through your design phases of having community meetings.
Yep.
When would you recommend us having our first community meeting?
Based on the scope schedule, what we have, you know, the length of time the drainage analysis takes and stuff, our plan right now is to have like a preliminary design submission wrapped up by like the end of February. Um, So at that point, we would then distribute plans to the various utility companies. You know, we would identify any utility impacts on the preliminary design plans, any potential pole relocation, stuff like that. And then I think that would be the best time to have a public info meeting.
Okay, so you're saying March-ish?
I'm gonna say in March. Yep,
So
sometime in
early
March.
spring, early spring.
Okay.
Sounds like a
Yep.
good thing. Yeah.
Yep,
Good.
yep, be perfect.
That's great. Thank you.
And in that way too, so, and I've said this before, so you don't get too far down the design path. It's very important for the public to see the design. The earlier the better,
Yes,
rather than get down a rabbit hole and then, you know, the public feels they weren't part of it and then it creates some uproar. So,
absolutely.
I agree.
yeah, yep. So we will, once we have preliminary design buttoned up, we could set a, you know, whether it's in person, whether it's virtual. We've found a lot of success on virtual the past few years, a lot more attendance rate. We can kind of go over that as the time comes.
Okay, thank you.
Helpful, Chris, to have maybe have it somewhere at a business down in that area.
That's what I was thinking. Somewhere in that neighborhood, have you know, a meeting. And if it's March and the weather's nice, we could probably do it in any one of a number of different places
Mhm.
that we can coordinate.
I'm sorry, who asked that question? Not all of your video is up for some
It was
reason.
Dave, Tony.
Tony.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think for us, we would just need not necessarily a projector. We could always do
Mhm.
like a couple boards or something like that. So
Yep.
we could keep it as simple or as detailed as you want.
Okay. Yeah, we'll coordinate finding a site and work with you on that for sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's great.
All right, Paul, anything else that you wanted to highlight?
I think I'm good. It's just crunching the numbers, going through the process at this point. I think we have a good handle on it. We're getting our electrical subconsultant involved as we speak to start the electrical design. I think we're in good shape, and I'm looking forward to an amazing outcome. So
I did
That's
see
good.
your trucks there a couple of weeks ago doing, I assume, taking samples of some kind. So
yeah, probably prepping the
Mm-hmm.
boring hole locations, doing mark out, things like that. Yeah.
anybody have other questions for Paul? All right, good. Thank you so much. That's really
Thanks,
helpful.
Paul.
Tony, we'll
My
work with
pleasure.
you to pick a date.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
You guys want me to stick around, or I can hop off, whatever you
I
prefer.
don't think you have to
I don't
if you've
think
got
you
other
have to.
things to do. No, but
Okay.
we appreciate it. Thank you, Paul.
All right, thanks, guys. It's good seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Here. The next item on our agenda, Chris, I'm going to let you handle this because you were more involved. This is with the POCD draft information that we want to get to TPZ that everybody got. Everybody should have gotten. Yes.
So it's pretty basic. It's not incredibly specific, but I think all the boards and commissions in town, or many of them, were asked to give a little bit of an input for the plan of conservation and development. So I just wrote this draft and thought it would be a good thing for our group to have included, or at least consider to be included in the plan of conservation and development. If anybody has any questions, comments, edits, I'm happy to make any changes.
I think it's a pretty strong statement. I think, it's good you have the links in there. My only question is whether or not it makes sense to sort of describe what a connectivity study is or has the potential to be. Because most people, it sounds like electricity, I think, when they hear it. So something like we also worked on a connectivity project, which has potential for design elements, lighting, seating, we need other adjectives, but something like that. And then say, coupled with that connectivity project, I mean, with the connectivity project is the placemaking study. I meant the placemaking. And then put the link there, just because I don't think most people know what placemaking is.
Okay.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll just put a sentence in on connectivity and what that is and what placemaking is.
Yeah, I think that,
Okay.
I mean, that's just my thought, but I thought that that would sort of round it out a little bit.
Okay. And I know we're a little late in getting it to TPZ, but they're not going to finalize their plan till May, so hopefully they'll use it and we'll be included.
Tony, I believe there's a forum coming up. Do I have my forums mixed up at the end of the month on the POCD? Is that what that is?
There's a forum coming up. Let me get the date in 1 second.
Yeah, what is the date on that? Is it the 29th? It might be the 29th.
The 29th is the forum for the country club.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
6
Okay.
to 8.
Okay. Somehow, okay, I had conflated a few things. Never mind that. All right. Other thoughts for the ad hoc for the submission to the TPZ on the POCD? There's too many letters here.
I know, a lot of acronyms.
Unbelievable. Anybody else want to say anything? Okay, good. So Chris, I will leave that to you to get out to
Okay.
them. Yes? Okay, great.
Thank you. We've had a quorum, by the way, since about 4:11 or 4:12.
Okay,
Just
well,
to-
in that case, we can vote on the 2025 meeting schedule.
And the
Yeah.
minutes.
In the minutes. We can do a formal vote on the minutes, as long as everybody will attest that they read them and have any questions, correct? Is that correct, Susan?
I think we did it already, but okay, we'll do it again.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Not approved, except,
Accept the minutes of September, October, November of 2023, and March, May, August, October, and November of 2024.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm going to actually ask you to amend that, Chris, and say accept and approve,
Okay,
just to cover whatever
absolutely. That works.
new interpretive bases we're supposed to round.
That works for me.
I will second that again.
So the amendment is seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, fine.
Great.
We also need to, anybody object? And no, and we can't deal with the abstentions because that's the complexity. So we're not going to do that. We do need a motion to approve the 2025 meeting schedule. And we tend to be a little
Motion to
fluid
approve the
in-
schedule.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion, any issues? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Anybody against? Any abstentions on that? Okay. Tony, do you want to say anything else before we adjourn?
No, I'm good. I'm just feverishly taking down the minutes as you're flying through these topics.
Okay,
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate that you're doing that for us.
okay. I'm going to see you in 10 minutes anyway for the next meeting.
Right.
Okay. Justin, thank you for making it. I know that you had a little time pressure there.
Well, yeah, I mean, as it always happens, a meeting that's supposed to end at 3:30 goes till 4:15.
Correct. That's what happens. I have a vague recollection of what that was like. All right, well, we can adjourn.
Lucky you, Susan.
Are you kidding? I'm busier than ever. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? I'll make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor. Goodbye, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you all.
I,
Night.
Take
Bye.
care.